Hey everybody, the North Remembers here with the Not So Silent Sisters. We are here to discuss Prophetic Characters Part 4. Today we're going to talk about the Undying and make an attempt to get to the Forsaken chapter and the connection between the two, at least with the Warlocks. If everyone would go down the line and say hello. T?
Hey everyone, I'm excited to be with my girls. This is going to be fun.
Connection between the two, at least with the Warlocks.
Yes, I'll say hello next. Alicia K. Back to chat about these prophetic people and the ridiculousness of them all.
Hey everybody, Manaro here. I'm glad to be back with my sisters, getting ready to talk some Undying and hopefully some Forsaken, see what we can get into.
Hey guys, Lady
Hi,
D. Crap. Go, Christina. Then.
For real, Brittany, for real.
All right. Look, I mean,
I'm just playing. Go ahead. I'll go after you.
Boom. Hey guys, Lady D. Just want to say I'm happy to be here on another stream. I'm excited for us to finally finish this the prophetic character series so that we can move on to other things, but also kind of save the best for last here because the Undying chapter is just full of a lot of foreshadowing and pretty awesome things. And if we make it to Forsaken, then we get to hear about some other really awesome things that are happening in Winds of Winter that we also tie back. A lot of great tinfoil theories that have come out of this, so I'm excited for the conversation. Thanks for joining us.
Oh. Black Wildling. I'm Christine the Sphinx. I'm happy to be here as always. I don't always get to join my sister when she streams, and I'm really happy that I could do it today. I love you, Northie. Hashtag NSSS, hashtag Wolfpack, hashtag let's go.
Love you too. Alicia?
I already did that, bruh.
Oh, my bad. So that's everybody.
We good.
All right, let's get this thing. I had a pause. That was my fault. I thought I missed someone. Okay, so does anybody want to kick it off? I have a little summary of the vision she saw in Undying, but does anyone want to start, or shall I just go with that?
Go with it, girl.
Okay. All right, so the first vision she had was the beautiful naked woman sprawling on the floor with 4 little men with rat-like faces raping her. Some people thought that was maybe Westeros kind of being raped by the multiple kings. What do you guys think about that, and have we seen that come to be? I kind of agree with it.
Yeah, I totally agree with it. I think that's exactly what it was. And like the woman symbolizes the land, and the little guys, what were they called? Like, they're not dwarves, they're like pygmy type size little guys. But
they said dwarf, but the way she said they were tiny, I think they were smaller.
Yeah. So I think they're representative of the 4 kings that were battling at that time and just tearing apart the land. That's what I got from it.
See, I used to think that, but I listened to that recently, and now my mind is kind of, I'm looking at it at a different angle, because when I'm seeing this, it kind of starts to happen to her as like at towards the end of the chapter. She first sees like a woman and they're like attacking her in some way, and then towards the end of her visions in the House of the Undying, she's in the same position. So I don't know if it is a symbol of Westeros or a symbol for what was to come, what was like exactly right then and there. So I'm not.
Who's in the same position?
At the end of the House of the Undying, she's when she gets the visions about the prophecies, the 3 betrayals for love and gold and all of that. She's basically being tied down by these like creatures, and they're sucking the life out of her as they're giving her these visions. It's the same thing, and they said that one's like attacking her on her nipple and one's clawing at her throat, and it's Drogon that comes in to save her. But it's like the same position of what she was saying when she first saw that. So at first I thought, oh, that might be Westeros and them attacking me, but when I listened to it again, I was like, wait, it seems like the same thing that was basically happening to her, where she has like these things attacking her, but she just saw it in a different type of vision.
That's true. I didn't think about that at all. It could have just represented what she was going to see shortly after, because we don't know how much time passed in there real time. But you're right. I didn't think about that. It could have just been literal for her.
Right. It's just a different way to throw in there maybe like a possibility, because, you know, none of us know. But that was just a cool way to look at it.
Anybody else have anything about that vision?
I don't really have anything, I guess, of huge value to add, but I do want to say that since we talked about it before, T-Baby, I am more inclined for your interpretation. And the reason why is because when I first read it, and before everybody jumps on me and is like, oh, well, it's really never 5 kings, it's only 4, whatever. It's like we keep referring to this as a war of 5 kings. And I would think that if we're going to see it in a vision, it would be 5 little men if we were talking about the war of 5 kings and not 4. Now, I understand because of when, was it Renly who was crowned, or was it, it was Greyjoy. I understand because Greyjoy was crowned after Renly died. It was really only 4 kings. I totally get that. But in my mind, he would have still been scrambling for Westeros. He may not have declared himself king, but he would have still been scrambling for Westeros, since that's what the vision was showing us. So I am inclined to lean more towards yours. And another interpretation is, I look at it as what will happen to Dany in the future that we haven't seen yet. And so I put myself in the mind of Littlefinger, Illyrio, Varys, and then I don't know who the 4th little man is. But really, it's all about the control of Dany, or what Dany has, which is her dragons or whatever that can win the Game of Thrones. So, yeah.
All right. Anybody else? I agree with that, Brittany. Both of y'all, I didn't see it that way, but now that you say that, I can't believe I missed it and thought it could be a little bit of both, but it makes more sense that it was about her and everyone trying to take her down. I'm with that. All right, so next vision, a feast of corpses, a room full of savagely slaughtered bodies, and many of the corpses have cups or spoons in their hands. Above them sits a dead man on a throne with the head of a wolf, wearing an iron crown and holding a leg of lamb like a king would hold a scepter. I don't know what to make of that. That's a combination of things. Is it a wolf king on the throne that never actually happened or could have happened?
I believe that her vision of the Red Wedding and
Exactly.
the king that she sees is actually Robb, because remember, they decapitated Robb and sewed Grey Wind's head on his body. So the vision that she's seeing, actually, she's actually the 3rd person to have a vision about the Red Wedding, aside from Patchface and the Ghost of Highheart, or she had a vision after it about something happened after it. But yeah, that was her vision of the Red Wedding.
I get it with
I
the
agree.
cups, the spoons, the dinner. It makes sense. I think because he never sat on the throne, I tried to take that literal, and I'm like, but the wolf was never on the throne, and his crown was bronze, but it's still the bits and pieces of it make sense.
Well, he sat on his own throne. He was the king of the North, so he did sit on a throne.
True.
And
That's true. But you also have to remember that in the House of the Undying, when she sips the shade of evening, it's things that have happened, things to come, things will be, and things that might. So not everything in this vision will come true.
that's true. But we know, I just feel like this one particular one, that was the red, to me, obviously, it was the Red Wedding. They're feasting and eating, and then, the wolf's head on the human body. I was like, yeah, Red Wedding.
Yeah.
I have a question. Nothing really about nothing, but since we talking about prophecy, I mean, can we hear what the Black Wildling has to say about this? Because she usually has some really great insight. I hope we can get her an invite, and maybe she can come on later.
Candace, can you get an invite to the Black Wildling? Can you send her a link?
Maester, can you send a bird? Maester, do we have a bird?
Maybe.
Because I have a question for this Black Wildling. I have a question.
You need to send a raven with my seal.
I hope she's got Wi-Fi wherever she's at.
I have a question about, I don't know if I'm just overthinking it or if I might be just super out there, but the way that I listened to this chapter again, it almost felt like, you know, this great other that's below, that's always in this deep thing, was trying to attack and like get down. He's like, how can I say this? It's weird. I think Blood Raven was talking to her there in the Undying, but I think the great other was trying to come for her. And if Drogon wasn't there, he would have got her, if that makes sense. But I need Black Wildland to let me know if I'm crazy or if she knows something.
All right.
Yes.
So,
Wilding has arrived.
somebody,
Wildling has arrived. Class, pull out your quills, ink, and parchment, please. Thank you very much.
what's up? What's going on? Like, y'all know we kind of fighting winter out here, right? So, like, what's the deal?
All right, we thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking time out of the winter to come and sit and talk with us. We're trying to find out what the hell's going on with Daenerys and these people of the House of the Undying. And we need some insight.
Okay, so what's the question? What are we looking at?
Candace, what was the question there, please? Hand to the queen.
Where's your gear?
We left off talking about whether that was the Red Wedding vision, and T just added in that potentially Blood Raven sent some visions to her while she was receiving the Undying visions, and that the Great Other might also have been trying to be the power that was trying to kill her.
There we go.
All right, why do you think that the Great Other was trying to kill her? What are your reasons? My reasons is because I feel like it's just the inverse tree, and that's what makes sense for Pied Pre and those trees.
Yes.
But,
when I was listening to the chapter and they were, it was saying how, you know, like the lights were going out and she's getting scared and she feels something's coming for her. And then she goes into this door and I was like, watch it say werewood. Watch it say, and then soon, boom, it's like it's Ivory and werewood. And I was like, all right, now that's just antennas up. Like this might have something with the old gods as well. I cannot explain why. Only that when you give me a werewood, you give me old gods, or at least a connection. That's just my train of thought. But it's other things that were kind of luring her in. Like when Pre was his little figure was saying, no, that's the wrong way, even though it was the right way. It was like trying to lure her out. And then you had something where its only options at first was just to go down, but she knows she can't. But she feels like this darkness is coming up. And it's the same thing that Brand said in his chapter when he was in that werewood tree and he was exploring the caves. All of a sudden, Hodor and him get scared. And they say they feel like some darkness is creeping up from, they can't explain it. They said they just feel something. It's the same thing that happens over and over. Or you could also think about John when he has his dreams and he says he has to go to the crypts, but he knows something is down there. So I don't know. That's the only reason why I'm thinking the Great Other might be trying to attack her in that moment.
I think those are all really good reasons because she was afraid. But then again, like maybe this fear can be the fear of the unknown, because in John's case, if there isn't actually anything evil in the crypts, like really his fear is the fear of the unknown more than anything else. And the fear, which is interesting, the fear of the unknown, but it's something that he really needs to know. So with Daenerys, perhaps it could be the same thing. It's a fear of something you need to know, but you don't want to go get it. Perhaps that's why Quaithe is always like, you need to do this and you need to do that. Remember who you are. Don't be.
Remember who you are.
This, you know, not that I know who Quaithe is or anything, but I do because I'm Black Wildling. But I think maybe that's it. I do. I see what you're saying. I want to reread it. I need to go back and with that thought in my mind, with the Great Other coming after her, because I did get the sense that she was afraid. Obviously, she's running, I believe, so she's afraid, and we know what's going on. And the whole Shade of the Evening thing to me just seems like it's inverse werewood paste, and I feel like if it's inverse werewood paste and it's blue, then that it means it's cold. Like that color makes me think cold, ice. Like this is the tree. So that's all Black Wildling has right now. Black Wildling.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for gracing us with your presence, Black Wildling. We so much appreciate you coming out the cold and hanging with us for a little bit. Thank you for that wonderful insight.
Thanks for having me. It's great. It's great.
Thank you for crossing the wall to be with us. If we need to summon you back for further questions and chat, are you available?
I'm actually across the wall now. Like, I completely left above the wall. Like, I didn't tell you guys.
Are you in Wintertown?
Like, hey,
Town?
Mance was gone. Everybody else was gone. You know what I'm saying? The great other got his whole army. He's like, well, I mean, I don't got no beef with you, Black Wildling. So, I mean, I'm like, okay, well, I guess, I'm like a person without a nation right now. So I just.
So where you at? You in the gift?
Actually, I'm with the Umpers, dog. I'm chilling at the crib. I'm not supposed to tell y'all that, but I'm chilling at the crib. Where do y'all think all this stuff came from? These maps? What? I'm in somebody's crib, guys.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Chilling.
Is Rick on there?
I'm not at liberty to divulge that information. I'm sorry. I'm not at liberty to say.
Blink twice if he's safe.
I'm not at liberty to say.
Well, thank you.
I can leave y'all with to think about. Like, I don't know if you guys read the history books about Skagos and Skane, but like, do you believe it? That's some foil I'm put out there. Maybe we could come back to revisit that, but
definitely.
Do you really believe that one island went and ate the other island and took their women? For real? And that's why nobody lives there anymore? Really? Things that make me go, probably not. All right. Black Wildling.
Thank you.
I like to sign off the Black Wildling.
It's very abrupt. It's like, and I'm out. Secret's out.
Secret's out. Black Wildling.
Mic drop. Black Wildling.
Boom.
Okay, are y'all ready for the next piece?
Yes, please.
All right, I'm gonna the next one is old dead loyal Sir William Derry beckons her into his house with the red door in Bravos. Now we know there are different speculations about where this house was, but I wonder why he popped up to her. If that's supposed to be another piece of us finding out who she is. We know that really happened in her memories, so I guess that's a way to validate some truth to the visions, in my opinion. What do you guys think about that?
I wonder if her seeing Sir William Derry is something that manifested based off of herself. Like, sometimes when you're under the influence of things or substances, sometimes you will pull back from some whatever you consider like a good memory, or you'll pull from a bad memory, but it's a memory that you have in your memory bank. And I'm wondering if seeing Sir William Derry wasn't something that she just manifested because it was a part of her childhood that was a good thing. And so she kind of manifested that on her own.
Yeah, I like to think he was probably the only person who showed her love, positivity, and a good experience as an adult that she seems to remember. And then it was just Viserys and them on the run. And then he turned to be worse and worse as years went on. So that would be perfect if she was just trying to draw to something happy to make her feel calm about what she was experiencing.
That sounds about right. Because, even with these visions, sometimes an apple is just an apple. And he might just be, the shadow of a great memory that she needed in that darkness that she was feeling,
All right. Anyone else have to add before we read the next vision?
The only thing I have to say about that one is that I don't know if one part of me wants to lean and say, yes, this is her trying to remember her past, because, Dorn says that he has, a marriage pact, or he had one with Viserys for his daughter a long time. So that makes me lean to say she had to be probably in Dorne at some point. But then I have to think that people can influence your dreams, and she's under the influence at this moment. So this might not have happened, and someone's just kind of messing with her in a sense.
That leads me to wonder if they've always been messing with her. What if some of her memories don't make sense because she's been getting visions for a while?
See, I don't know.
It just opens up so much though. Like, who hasn't been getting visions for a while then? You know, like, does anybody have control of their own mind? You know, like, why? You would have to
like
also have a reason for somebody to want to do that, just specifically to her.
She's the blood of the dragon, man. She's the really certified blood of the dragon that we're aware of as far as the story's telling the reader. So if she has
she had a brother too.
Yeah, but he was crazy. Maybe he wouldn't have received it, or maybe he was crazy because he did receive it, and that made him so arrogant. Like, it can go on and on. I totally get what you're saying, but you're like the anti-theory, and I'm the pro-theory. So I'll believe all these possibilities because I think there's so much more to the story, and I can't wait.
I'm the opposite.
When we find out, like, oh crap, there was nothing to that at all. It was literally just what it was. Or I could be like, I was right since 2011. I was right, you know.
Hashtag burning crosses. That's all I got to say. All the speculation on who was getting burned on crosses.
Oh, I know. That was harsh. That was difficult.
And it was literally like nothing.
Yeah, and they still never told us.
They played us on that. They played us on it, but they got their hype off of it, so that works out.
Yeah, they did.
All right, you guys ready for the next one?
If anybody else has anything, I'm good.
Okay. All right, an old man with long hair sits in a barbed throne in a great hall with dragon skulls and says, "Let him be the king of ashes." My interpretation, the Mad King at the moment where Robert's trying to take over, and he's pretty much saying, burn them all. I'll leave him nothing before I let him take over my throne. Is that accurate?
That was my thought.
Mine too.
Well said, hand.
Yeah, that was a clear one, and I liked it because but then it leads me back and forth. Like, are these visions real? I know it's maybe will happen, never did happen, but that was a really good one that we know happened from Jamie's perspective.
I would like to say that I do think majority of the vision she's seeing is real, and this is another reason why I think it's somehow related to the old gods, is because Pre tells her before you go in, he says to them, it's like a flicker. Be patient, you know, it's like a flicker. Our lives are like a flicker to them. It's the same way, like when you see Brian in the show looking at the visions, it goes so fast. And I believe in the books they said, you know, it's the same way that Danny was looking at seeing the visions. They were coming so fast at one point. So that's what makes me think that reverse werewood thing might be true, just because now I'm starting to see similarities of what Bran sees and how he when he's through those werewoods.
When someone takes a shaded evening, and I'm only falling back, and I know that I hope y'all forgive me if I skip ahead and kind of make a comparison with the Forsaken chapter, because when someone takes a shade in the evening, they're prone to having certain visions, and some of the visions they see are of things that happened, or things that could happen, and things that will happen. And it just seems her vision seem to kind of follow that same line of things that happen, things that could happen, and things that will happen. It's kind of the same way how Aaron, when he was forced to take the shade of the evening and he was having visions, well, those are all possibly things that could happen, or will happen. We don't know which is which yet, until we get the next book. So I'm not too big on over theorizing, but that's just the way that I looked at it. I think the minute that the shade of the evening was just the opiate or the little help that she needed, in order to be able to kind of see the visions, if that makes sense. And I think it was also a kind of a way for them to kind of trap her too. I mean, why else have her drink that? if not to kind of give her what it was that she was looking for, but at the same time try to get what they wanted from her. It's kind of like I'm gonna lure you in. I'm gonna give you what you're seeking, but at the same time, I'm gonna get you, because the whole point was it was never their intent to let her out. It just so happened, if it wasn't for Drogon, she probably still would have been in there, and they would have probably been draining her life force. At least that's what I think.
That's just like Bran with the weirwood paste. See, what did Black Wildling just say? Inverse trees, man.
Inverse. Well, also too, it's very similar the way Euron was forcing Aaron to drink it, like he wanted him to see something, like he knew he had an ability to see something, and he wanted him, like, why? It's like forcing somebody to get high. Like, why would you do that? Why would you like pour this stuff down his throat unless you expected something to come of it? So
yeah,
maybe,
I totally agree. It was like no point to it, because at the end didn't keep him alive. Like, you gave me all this just to show me you were right, or
I think he was looking for something. He was looking for maybe some sort of confirmation or something. I don't know.
I can't wait for that book to come out. Come on. All right. Anybody else have anything to add? Alicia, did you say something? I'm sorry.
I was saying for the book, you got about a year.
I know.
No.
The sadness continues. Anyone else have anything to add on that one? All right. I'll take that pause as a no. The next one, her vision was of a man who looks like Viserys, but is taller and with darker eyes, who says to a woman nursing a baby, "Aegon, what better name for a king? He is the prince that was promised, and his is the song of ice and fire. And when the man's eyes meet Dany's, he says either to her or to the woman with the baby, there must be one more. The dragon has 3 heads," and he picks up a silver harp and begins to play. So what do we think of that one?
Well, I think in the chapter it says he looks at Dany, right? When he says that, like their eyes meet, and he says the dragon must have 3 heads.
Yeah. Well, she thinks he's either looking through her at the woman or he's looking at her, and it seems like we're not sure if he can see her, which opens my curiosity as Rhaegar being a prophetic character anyway, and we just don't have the proof. But I think he was getting sent stuff, and what if there was this connection between the vision to her with who he was as a person? I don't know. That's a little crazy, but what if he was looking at her?
I and you guys could tell me that I'm way off. I have a feeling that conversation actually took place, and that was at the moment that he told her that he wanted to be with Lyanna, and he was explaining to her about, he's the prince that promised, but the dragon must have 3 heads. And I want to think that was the point in time they had the conversation about Lyanna. And I want to say he was probably looking at Dany, but I wonder if Lyanna was the one that was actually there in place of Dany. You can tell me if I'm off, but
I love that idea. I really do. Because the one thing that I kept questioning was, why would he think that Aegon was the prince that was promised if he said he was supposed to be fire and ice? Like, Dorne's not ice. So that's what made me think, like, that didn't make sense. But what you said made total sense.
Yeah, I like that a lot, Nero. Good one.
Anybody else want to add to that one? I totally agree. I love that vision the most because it just makes me have a moment where I'm like, that's when he told her. That's when his wife was okay with him having a side chick so they could have the 3rd head.
I agree. I'd have been down with that. If I couldn't make no more babies and you're like steadfast on having a 3rd, I'd be like, well, hit that shit, dude. I can't. I ain't got it. I ain't got it in me.
Some Westerosi IVF.
Yeah.
Ain't no happening.
Yeah, but IVF
that's in line with what everyone thinks.
IVF.
She said The milk's gone dry.
That falls in line.
Waiting all day to say that,
Sorry,
Monero.
I couldn't help myself.
That Elio was cool with him and Liana. It doesn't
And
make
also,
sense.
she's
That
Dornish.
Cool, exactly. That's what Dornish had no issues with polygamy. That's just what the hell they did.
Dornish are freaks. They're freaks. Freaknik would happen at Dorne.
Yes, it would.
So Dorne is like Atlanta.
Yeah, Dorne was ATL at the time.
Dorne is Atlanta in the 90s.
I could though, and that explains why he was bold enough to disrespect his wife at the tourney, and crown Lyanna, because she was probably like, "Get it, dude, hit that shit. I have nothing. Like, you can't even touch me. I'll die."
Right. All the smiles died because nobody knew what he was doing, but she knew. There's no reports of her saying anything bad.
No reports of her being upset or anything.
Oberyn holds no ill will towards that dude. Come on. As much as he loved his sister, he would have wanted to kill Rhaegar, but he didn't.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. I'm 100%. She was down. She knew she was done. He needed a third, and she was like, "Well, handle your business, dude. I mean, y'all Targaryens anyway. Like, you have several wives if you feel like it. So I'm Dornish. I get it. Hey, bring her in.
Big love.
Yep.
Hashtag big love.
Hashtag the wives.
Hashtag swingers.
Monero, can you say the milk's gone dry again?
Do it.
Come on.
Milk's gone dry.
Oh, that's brilliant. Hashtag the milk's gone dry.
Hashtag milk's gone dry. Oh, Ilya, her milk gone dry.
Okay, let's the next one. I don't remember this. A vision of Pyre telling her.
Wait, I wanted to.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Fine. So I like your idea, Naro, about it possibly being Lyanna standing there in Dany's place. I'd had a few thoughts about this vision a few times myself, and I was wondering if it was possible, for now seeing the show, if it's possible, if there are two green seers, right? And both of their consciousnesses, I guess, were to enter something at the same time, would it still exist there when the other one got there? Like if I visited something, right? If I visited something beforehand, and then you come and visit something beforehand, would you not stand in the place that I was standing in? Like, does it always put you from the same vantage point, or are you able to see around? Does that make sense? Anyone?
Yes, it makes all
It's kind of like the Matrix, like when they talked about deja vu.
Right. It's not really, it's just a glitch in the, so it's like a glitch. Like, okay, well, this is where you're always going to see through the eyes of this person, on the vantage point of this person, because this person is a warg, or this person is a whatever, or this is an animal, or this is a tree, or something. There's some reason why you can see. There's that. There's something I always thought about. And then the second is, I think it would be really cool if Rhaegar was looking at Dany, and I hope that he was looking at Dany. I am under the impression that he was getting visions, and a whole lot of them, because apparently the boy woke up one day and was like, "Yep, apparently I need a sword, so hook me up, bro." Like, he was clearly, I feel like he was chasing something. He was researching something prophetic. And so I just think it would be awesome if he was having dreams and visions, and it was one of those things where he knew to speak that way and in that direction, because he knew that someday Dany would be in that direction, if that makes any sense. So that's crazy, but yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I was trying to say that I think he saw her in a parallel universe, but you just made that make more sense and more better explanation of it, because I think he was talking to her, but it was really the same moment as it was when he was talking to his wife, which is crazy. I cannot wait to see who was speaking to him. I still think it was the ghost of High Heart. Well, I'm sorry, that was at his birth, so wrong person. I can't connect that yet.
I think it was Black Wildling.
It has been confirmed
Black Wildling's grandmother
by several sources that the Black Wildling was there.
And Mom.
Most likely.
I wonder if we'll get to see the book or the book that he was reading from, where he suddenly changed his tune. If we'll get that, if that book will surface, you know what I mean, so that we'll know exactly what he read.
I agree.
Yeah, that would be good to see that book. Sphinxy, you got to mute. Thank you.
No,
I muted her. Just remind me to unmute when she comes back.
Oh, what I said was, I wonder if we'll ever see the book that he read. I wonder if it will surface, because it would really be good to know what exactly he read. What book did he read? He had to have read some book, and I'm wondering who the author of the book was.
All right, I got some foil. Foil alert. Foil alert. I think it's at the wall. That book and many other books. Because Tyrion took, and I bet you, because it's freaking Tyrion would have taken the rarest volumes from Winterfell before the fire. He would have taken the dopest stuff, because remember, he was like, dang, y'all got all this stuff. We don't even have this. Yeah, I'm royalty, basically. I haven't even seen these books. Like, dang, I got a lot of books up here, even on dragons. What's up with that, though? Let me borrow a few of these, Ned, and I'll bring them back to you.
Yeah, he said they have the most complete volumes of a lot of the things that he's been looking for and researching over the years. Good one. Good one.
Yeah, and nothing survived where Rhaegar was going, Summerhall, right? Nothing survived. And so would we find out about the book from somebody else he told, or a vision, you think?
The book was after Summerhall, because he was already a young man by that time. So I'm thinking either Maester Aemon has that book, because I believe him and Maester Aemon still communicated, and that's only based on what Aemon was talking about. Because when he started telling Sam that, when we thought the promise was a man, how foolish we were. Who's we? It had to be somebody aside from him. So I'm thinking he must have been having conversations with Rhaegar about this prince that was promised, or there was conversations between him, Rhaegar, and someone else. Because apparently this book, it was the catalyst that led him to picking up a sword and armor. So whoever wrote it, or whoever the author of the book was, must have known about this prophecy. So it'd be interesting to see how it was written. What were the exact words that were written that would cause him to think that he personally needed to be the one to become a warrior?
Hey, Eli just said something funny in the chat. He said he thinks Rhaegar was just secretly on that shade, and he was sitting in the library late at night on that syrup, and probably thought that he found a prophecy.
On that's totally possible. He could have had visions through that and not read as much as what we think. That he could have been given that information a whole lot of different ways.
Sipping on that scissor.
Monero, I never thought about, I hesitated on the episode when Aemon was, or I guess that part of the book, when Aemon was like going back talking about his regrets. He did say, we were wrong. And I'm thinking, who's we? But then I thought he's old. He probably outlived all the people that might have cared about this prophecy back when it was a possibility. But he was very seriously saying we were wrong. And you raise a good point. He could have been talking to Rhaegar, even though we think initially when I first started watching the show, I thought they couldn't really leave the wall and do much. But he had all the means in his old age to send birds and communicate and get information. Or if we're talking glass candle type behavior, do other kind of communications, but that's a whole nother thing.
I just want to, because I'm frying fish, so I'm about to hop out. But I agree that he is speaking to Blood Raven. I believe Blood Raven. We can go through that, because that's something that's a lot of, I think that he was speaking to Blood Raven. Blood Raven was speaking to him, but I believe that Blood Raven has tried to speak to numerous Targaryens down the line. It's what's been driving people crazy, whatever. And this is what's happening. Here it is. I believe he's been in contact with Blood Raven. But the reason why I think that the book is at the wall is because I think the book was brought to Winterfell, or was given to someone, who was in the Winterfell tale. And here's why. how are you gonna just convince Lyanna, look, we got to go? Like, we even if, because the thing is, was it love, or was she just smart? And you know, like, what was it? Was it love, or was she just intelligent and she believed in the old gods and the prophecy, or what was it? So my tinfoil theory is that this book that he had was either at the Tower of Joy, and it's one of those things, and Ned just looked at it like it's a book. It doesn't have anything, you know what I'm saying? Just put it up in the library or whatever. It's this old tome that's really useful. And or he gave it to Lyanna, and Lyanna gave it to somebody, and it ended up in Winterfell. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the book cannot exist in King's Landing. Tyrion has been in King's Landing for at least 15 years, right? 14, 15 years. Tyrion would have found the book. Tyrion would have read the book. Tyrion didn't find the book. That book ain't there. All those other rare books or whatever that he's so excited about, none of those books were there. So I can't imagine where else it would be. He would have read it by now. I think Tyrion would have read it by now.
I agree. I think
You think
was
hidden in Winterfell? Oh, you said the wall. Never mind.
I think it's at the wall now because it was in Winterfell, and Tyrion took it to the wall when before the library burned.
Oh, so you think Tyrion snatched the book?
Yes. Not out of like, oh, let me get the book. It was one of those rare tomes that he was like, oh, da-da-da-da. It's one of the ones that he asked to borrow.
Right. Did they say what books he asked to borrow? Because I remember they said it's something about like a dragon's a complete version of it, and he was telling someone to like be super careful with this because he didn't want the pages to like rust or something like that.
Yeah.
Did they say
what the book was?
title was? Oh,
I don't
okay.
recall. Does anyone else know?
No, I don't think they mentioned what they were. I just remember him being really impressed that they were full volumes and that they were hard and rare copies.
I don't think they mentioned. Yeah, I'm gonna agree that I don't think they mentioned. And also, I'm gonna agree that Aemon could have been talking with Bloodraven because they were at the wall around the same time. Because Aemon's been at the wall since around the time Aegon the Fifth became.
They actually got up there together, didn't they?
Exactly.
When Aegon got crowned, that's when he sent Bloodraven to the wall.
Right, and then Bloodraven actually became Lord Commander, and then all of a sudden he fell off the face of the earth. So it's very possible that him and Bloodraven were still communicating, and he probably knew that Bloodraven was in a tree.
Highly possible.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but they probably never stopped communicating. Except for maybe that time that Bloodraven had to go learn how to do whatever he's doing, because somebody had to teach him like he's teaching Bran, I assume.
I hope we get that backstory because I'm really interested to find out how do you go from being the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch and then you just like up one day, you just out chilling, just walking off, and then you end up in a tree. I mean, how
planning that? I don't see him just on a whim like Rhaegar and just, oh, I found this, I need to go right now. I think Bloodraven, when he got to the wall, he planned it out and was like, I need to get to this position, and then when I get to this position, I have now authority over certain things. And then when it was the right time, he left.
All right.
I think
You guys
that's
I agree. Y'all ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
All right. A great hall with several robed people claiming to be the Undying of Qarth, who tell her, we sent the comet to show you the way to Qarth. Shall we teach you the secret speech of dragonkind? But it turns out to be sorcery. Finally, Dany comes upon a room with several figures that are no more than shadows, unbreathing, and over them floats a human heart, blue and corrupted. These are apparently the real Undying. The figures speak inside Dany's head. I think I'll leave it there because it's just got quotes about some of the stuff they said. They're a little bit lengthy, but I guess that was her seeing what was false, which was these lively people, and then she realized they were truly dead, and that was just a fake shell of those people. That's how I interpreted that.
Mm-hmm. Are they like glamored, or they're using magic?
It felt like it because it was like somebody had the exposed breast, and then the later description was it was an old lady, like it was like a Melisandre switch out, like regular middle-aged woman and then old decrepit person with a droopy boob, like it was different.
Yeah, I agree. They must be older than we think. They must be on their Melisandre stuff, and they're undying, so like they're not even people. Like,
yeah, it's like what realm is that when you're alive and then undead? Like, what is that?
I think that's called a vampire.
I'm gonna jump out there because this might sound super crazy, but I think that she's seeing something from like Valyria, because I think also it describes like the floor was wet or something like that. So I don't know. I think that was sorcery you were saying. Like at 1 second she thinks that these are like regular people, and then the next thing you know, they're not moving. It's the same thing where she, towards the end, when she's getting those visions, she's thinking that they're giving her all this wisdom, but then she can't breathe. And then it wasn't until Drogon comes that she realized that it's these dead things attaching themselves to her. So that's when I'm thinking this is sorcery. It's a lot of things going on in the House of the Undying, because I think that she's getting visions from Blood Raven. I think something's coming for her, but then I also think that you have like this sorcery with the warlocks as well. So it's like a combination, because they're trying to, like you said, they're trying to keep her in there. They don't want her to leave. So I think they're giving her everything that they got because she's been passing all of these tests.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hashtag, all I can do is nod. I'm just like, yes.
Right. Yeah. There's that. That's a great interpretation. T, stop saying your stuff sounds crazy. Seriously.
Yeah, for real, T. Like, you want some other stuff. You're not crazy. You're just smarter than the rest of us.
No, I just, because I overthink and I'm like, oh, this could be that. Oh, what's that? What's that? Like, I was messaging you guys like, what did she mean them? Like, that threw me off the entire chapter. Was like, why did he say them and say that, oh, it's a flicker, our lives are a flicker to them? Like, that threw me off the entire chapter, which made me think the old gods off of that one little sentence. So I do that all the time, where it's like, all right, bring it back in now. Don't go too far.
I think I thought we were at the end of it, but there was a little bit where it just talks about all the visions that came to her back to back to back right before she realized they were trapping her. And I was thinking, we left one out, but this is where it talks about the tall copper-skinned lord. Well, it says 1, Viserys dying. 2, a tall lord with copper skin and silver hair bearing the banner of a fiery stallion. A dying prince with rubies flying from his armor, whispering the name of a woman with his last breath. A blue-eyed king with a red sword in his hand who casts no shadow. A cloth dragon amidst the cheering crowd. A great stone beast flying from a smoking tower, breathing shadow fire. Her silver horse given to her by Drogo at her wedding. A corpse at the prow of a ship, eyes bright in his dead face, smiling sadly, which is going to lead us to our next segment, I think.
Yes.
A blue flower growing from a chink in a wall of ice, shadows dancing in a tent, a little girl running toward a house with a red door, Miri Ma's door, shrieking in flames as a dragon bursts from her, a corpse being dragged behind a silver horse, a white lion running through grass taller than a man, a line of naked crones emerging from a lake, kneeling before Daenerys beneath the Mother of Mountains, and 10,000 slaves crying mother as Dany rides by on her silver. So if I'm not mistaken, like half of those things occurred after the House of the Undying, and she had no way to know what those little clues were. And I'm just like mind blown, because when you read the books and finish them and you get back to something like this and read it by itself, you can be like, oh, Miri, a dragon came out of her because it was a life for a life, or death paid for life. Like, crazy. What do y'all think about that? I know that was a lot of information.
That was her version of Bran's epic download.
It was just like that, like speed.
Yeah, I have to totally agree with that, because in the show, Bran is like going through back and forth, and it will go like hundreds of years in the past, and then next thing you know, it'll go what happened like 15 years ago. Then it will go back, and then it will go forward. It's the same thing that's happening to her. Like, she's getting visions, and she's reading it, but she doesn't know what's going on, so there's no concentration. With Bran, we start to see it slow down a little bit, because he starts to realize that he needs to focus on one thing, because it's a tree, or somehow, okay, now I know I sound crazy, but I gotta go with it. But it's just like someone's giving Danny these visions, and this is the old guys doing that, because that's how they send their visions. It's their lives. It's once again, it's that damn quote where it's saying that, you know, you have to be patient because our lives are but a flicker, and that's what a tree is. They've been there for so long, and it's when you go back to Bran's chapter, when he went through the trees by himself in the books, he was getting all of these visions, and then they were going so fast and so fast and so fast. But his was going more in a traditional, it kept going further back in time, further back in time, further back in time, where Danny is going all over the place. And she doesn't know what's going on, so she can't concentrate and see a vision complete. But this is what makes me think that Blood Raven is now into play when it comes to the visions towards the end, because that's something the old gods do.
One more thing I'd like to point, observation that I made also, is that a lot of their visions have to do with their respective past and possibly their respective future, or possible what would have been their possible future. Like most of the visions, and most of their vision kind of cross each other's paths, if I'm making sense, because Danny has visions of both Stark and Targaryen, Stark and Baratheon, and Bran also has visions of Targaryen and Baratheon. So it's kind of like their visions kind of like converge and cross paths, but it's still respective of their family history. I don't know if I'm making sense, but kind of like how their visions are running.
I get what you're saying. I agree. They cross where it's not about them, but they're thinking of other main characters and main houses.
You guys think Danny and Bran will meet up on the show?
Yeah.
Not,
I mean, if they do,
sorry, go ahead.
it's okay.
I'll just say not in a way where it's like maybe physical form, but with Bran and the fact that he has this ability to already kind of affect the past by going through where it was. But even though in the show it's completely different, in the show it might just be that he can just connect to her mentally or through her dreams. I feel like if Blood Raven can do it, then Bran in time can do it as well, and maybe to an even higher extent than Blood Raven, if that makes sense. So yes, but not in a physical form.
Got you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because when you think about them having these visions that are similar, you clearly see that they both are going to play a huge part about this whole thing, and they have the entire time. So I think that, which once again, it goes back to, I think Blood Raven is sending both, because, you know, he's the old gods and he's also, you know, Valyrian, the old, you know, their blood. So it just seems like Blood Raven is making sure that they see what's going on, because they have to play a huge part in whatever is about to happen.
I think that Bran's going to meet her, and I agree with the non-physical form. I think it's going to be a necessity, because she's going to be coming in to Westeros like, all right, time to conquer Westeros. when, you know, the whole half of Westeros is like, this winter is here. Like, screw conquering, we got to do something to survive. So I think at some point she's going to need a download. She's going to need an epic download of some information. I think that's how possibly Bran will meet her. Because somebody's got to give her some information. They got to give her a lot of it in order for her to, like, who the hell is going to believe that? Oh, there are ice beings in the north who are killing people and turning them into whites and reanimating them, and then those reanimating beings are going around and killing people and eating them and then reanimating those beings, and it's just a loop, and we kind of need your dragons for that. Like, nobody's gonna believe you. So I think she needs like a lot of information in a very short amount of time.
I agree with you both.
Candace, you want to read that question from Eli real quick?
Yes.
Before we go into that, because I don't want to jump off topic. I'm curious to, what did you guys think of the vision where she saw the big giant taller than the grass? Did you guys catch that?
The giant lion or white lion?
Is that Tyrion? Because he's always been described as a giant in everyone, and even you have Makoro who sees, no, that's not Makoro, who sees him as a huge giant, because everyone keeps saying they see him as a giant. It was
Varys?
Huh?
Isn't it Varys or someone that like sees the giant shadow or something?
No.
And
I think it's Makoro, isn't it?
Makoro.
It's a few people that see him and he's described as a giant, and it's like, what does that mean? Because he's also like in that vision where they say, you know, be careful of the lion as well. Like, he's always been described as, his shadow being described as a giant, or, you know, huger than what he is. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and the other thing, John did say that as well. But my thing is that vision where it says, you know, the tall lion taller than the grass. Like, what the hell could that possibly mean?
The grass is taller than man. I think that's the ghost grass.
No, it actually, I'm sorry. It says, let me see, direct quote.
Isn't he called the white lion?
It does. A white lion running through grass taller than a man. On first read, I thought they were saying the lion was huge, but they're saying ghost grass taking over, kind of, is what it sounds like.
I think it's both.
Isn't that kind of weird that a lion would be out there, or what does
why is it white?
That symbol would mean?
What's the significance?
Well, the only other time a white
lion
lion wasn't, Khal Drogo was hunting a white lion in the Dothraki Sea before. Does anybody remember that?
And that's the pelt she wears. Like, that's her go-to snuggie.
It's her night cloak.
It's her snuggie. She has a white lion snuggie. But I feel like that's the only
that Drogo killed, right?
Yeah.
The Hurkar, they call it Rakar or Harkar, whatever. I don't speak Dothraki.
I do.
A Rakar, a Harkar.
Like you're congested.
Does anybody else have anything to add on those visions and that fast download and what we just said before we start any Q&A?
Do you have something to say about Bloodraven?
Yes, on Bloodraven. I think Bloodraven didn't just disappear off the map. I definitely do think that it was planned. And the reason why is because he didn't go until he was old. So he would have to have help. It was like in the 60s or 70s or something like that. So he would have had to have help because of like how old he was from the time he got there, the age he would have been from the time he got there, how long he was Lord Commander, from 33 years, something like that, right? Add it all together, he's like in the 60s, 70s. This guy would have to have help getting up there. And I think that he would have had to been in concert and in communication with whoever that force was for a while. We go all the way back before he even got to the wall, right? In the Duncan Egg novellas, and he's glamoring and whatnot. And there are rumors about him doing dark magic with his half sister girlfriend. So like there are like there's evidence that he could have possibly been influenced by the old gods or in contact or in concert or working, to their ends since way back then. And I think that it was planned. Because if you kill royalty, I think against like the wishes of royalty, because that's what happened, right? He killed that Blackfire, and that's why he got sent to the wall. That's something punishable by death. You could have just straight up died. And Aegon was like, no, go to the wall, uncle, and live out your days, or cousin or whatever. Live out your days. It's cool. Like, thanks for helping me out that time, you know, at the tourney with Dunk. Like, it was just, to me, I think it's very, very, very suspicious. And I think that Egg sent him there because he was aware of what was going on. Because at the end of the day, I believe that all of these dreams and stuff are really coming from like one group of people. So just like before in our discussion where I was talking about how the ghost of High Heart, I think she's getting her dreams from Bloodraven. So that would be Bloodraven contacting her. Well, if the ghost of High Heart is getting her dreams from Bloodraven, then how long has she been getting her dreams from Bloodraven? Have you been getting them since before Summerhall? You have been in contact with Bloodraven this entire time. So yeah, there's all that. I just think it's very on purpose. I forgot what the question was, but I just think it's very on purpose.
I like that, very on purpose. I'm not sure that's proper grammar, but I like it.
Very on purpose. It is extremely purposeful.
There you go.
I get it. I love it. I think I cannot wait to understand the connection of these prophetic people, especially those that are higher up sending things. Are they together? Are they against each other? I don't understand if Bloodraven would even be for Dany. Like, is he supposed to represent the cold and the White Walkers, or is he representing good? You know, that's a whole nother thing.
Well, he's a Blackwood, so they on both sides.
That's what makes it like, where is his allegiance lie? Would he be happy? Is Bran being played to think that he's doing good when he's probably...
So he's a Blackwood and a Blackfire?
Right?
He never took that Blackfire name.
He never.
But he's technically he's a Targaryen bastard.
Targaryen,
but
Targaryen.
Daemon took the moniker Blackfire after he was legitimized, I believe, and he made a play for the throne. So he was actually against. Bloodraven was actually fighting against him because he was on Daemon. Was it Daemon or Darian?
Yeah,
Darren.
Yeah.
He fought for the Targaryens.
He's a bastard.
Yep. He's one of the great bastards.
No, I mean Daron is a bastard.
Well, you believe the rumor that Daron is the child of Rhaenys and Daemon.
He's a flabby chested, slump shouldered bastard. Don't nothing like his daddy.
His mother was kind of
baby.
His mother was kind of sickly though. I would figure if he was gonna have Prince Aemon, what was his name? Was it Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight?
Aemon the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, I would figure he would have more stature because Prince Aemon was, from what I'm reading, is probably well built. His sister was kind of small and sickly.
But you guys, this is assuming that like you just pass down your gene. Like you can't. It just doesn't work that way. Like literally,
I understand that. I'm just saying he probably took after his mother because his mother was kind of sickly.
B has a video on this. Y'all go watch that video. Go watch the video.
Because I'm telling y'all, I get it. I know that genes don't just pass that way. I'm fully aware. I have a video on autosomal recessive traits. I'm fully aware, y'all, how genetics works. I'm not crazy. But this boy in the Game of Thrones, like the thing that is important is about how you look. They have a whole book about babies being born and writing down exactly how they freaking look, bruh. Then we are given no description of Aemon the Dragon Knight. No description physically. Now get it. I know some skinny dudes in high school who just worked out because they were in the military and got buff. They weren't naturally like that, but they just now they look, it's like, oh damn, look at you. That you were never like that before. So Aemon the Dragon Knight is in the military basically for life. Now, King Aegon IV was described as being robust, as that broad-shouldered, strong, looking like Robert Baratheon in his prime, but like for longer. Like they talked about, he didn't get fat for a while. He was the brightest prince in a generation. He was the smartest this. He was the best at swords. He was the best at all of these things. And your son didn't get none of that. He didn't get any of it. And his eyes are the wrong color. That's just my opinion. But
okay, so I'm about to break this shit right here. I'm about to completely break this theory. All I have to do is bring my kids in here and look at them.
But that's not real. That's the difference between your kids and the book is that the book literally follows how people look. The whole.
But that's all they had. They didn't have DNA.
Like
they didn't have the knowledge that we have now, right? So they're just like, oh, if you don't look alike, that must not be yours. Or if you're not don't have the same characteristics, it must not be yours. But we know now, and George knew this writing it now, that doesn't mean that that's not your child because A, they don't look like you, or B, they don't act like you, or C, they don't believe like you or anything. It doesn't matter.
If I may interject, I agree. Again, you guys both have good points, but I think there is something to be said about, and this makes me curious about most of the theories I love, including yours, Brittany. It's like I'm thinking, is George thinking in his world or is he thinking real world? And he crosses the line. And I guess most science fiction fantasy, it's helpful if it stays with real science and real things like physical, like gravity, you know, like, but with the stuff like DNA in our world, it's a little questionable. Well, it's scientific, but in his world, it's like these superficial things: eye color, hair color, pale skin, the pale blue eyes of the Boltons, or whatever they describe the eyes to be. Like, you think of these things, it seems like Brittany's point is likely because George writes his story that way for us to connect. The Baratheon kids have the look. I could tell, Ned could tell he was his son, you know, Maya Stone, they have the black curly hair. It kind of stays like a constant thing. And when there's a blur, I think it's meant to confuse us and make us question it.
And there's also kids that stand out and they're nothing like anybody in their family, like Brienne of Tarth, you know, or freaking
Arya, as compared to all of her true-born siblings. Arya is the only one that had the Stark look. All of her other siblings look like Tullys.
Yeah, and that's like a 50-50 situation, which could happen.
And you never know what you're gonna get, you know. So I can't buy into the whole book, you know. Yes, the seed is strong. All my kids are like this, blah blah blah. But literally, I've had 4 kids, and some of these kids, I want a maternity test. I'm like, I need to know, did I birth that one or was it switched or something? Because there's no similarity. They don't act like me, behave like me, but I know I pushed it out. But you couldn't tell by looking at it that that's my child in any sort of way. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, like you were saying, Candace, you know, George writes in this time frame with this mindset. But
well,
I
even
also,
in world, not even just the time, but his world uses those, you know, as criteria.
I hear you. I'm down.
Until this story's over, we won't. Nobody's right and nobody's wrong. It's just a whole lot of question marks and possibilities, space and opportunity. I think when I went off to take a break, you guys were talking about. Brittany was starting her talk about the kids, and it made me think that we need to have like a Maury Povich paternity test show, like DNA, whatever their version.
You are not the father.
Using the Westerosi criteria, though, where, you know, like on TV, they'll be like, look at his ears. But in Westeros, you know, Shireen Baratheon has the ears of the Florence. Like, you could really play that game, and it would be hilarious.
That could be a whole segment by itself.
It would be
look at his blue eyes.
Somebody
He's
write
obviously Baratheon.
Somebody write that down. That could be a thing.
Yeah. And each one of us like represent a house and like try to claim our people.
Yeah.
No, I want to be like the audience member who kind of gets the fight. It was like, you know, that
Maybe would be the audience member.
But why the audience gets so mad? They stand up and be like, "You're a liar! It's obvious."
And why does the woman always run off stage or drop it like it's hot if she's right and she runs away if she's wrong?
No, but then the dad got a crip walk. If he got off, he got to be like, yay, yay. It's not my kid.
But everyone is going to take Robert Baratheon.
I want Robert.
Well, I love him. I love him for that reason because all of his kids, the seed is strong with him for real.
He got mad kids, dude.
Then you have questionable ones like, and we're getting off topic, but like John Aaron, like I don't think his son is his, but we don't know much about him. I mean, he was really old, so maybe he did have a sickly seed.
That's why it's his.
Littlefinger's bastard. I seriously think that's Littlefinger's.
Because John Aaron, because the Aarons are typically blonde. They're typically blonde. Like they say that Harry, yeah, he looks more like an Aaron than Robert Aaron does.
They say he looks
Robert
like
Aaron
when he was a
didn't
kid.
take after the Tullys. Who else would he?
There are no more Aarons in the story. There's not another Aaron in the story, right?
No, we've never seen it, except for in the history. We don't know about any other Aarons.
So that's why Harry the Heir is there. I don't remember the whole reason, but there was nobody left of his kid. But it's like he didn't have a brother or a sister or aunt or a smaller faction.
Must have been an only child or
Harry
something.
the Heir. He's a nephew, I think.
Is he an Aaron though?
He's a cousin or something like that. He is Robert Aaron's
down the line
because he's the only other male Aaron or trueborn or I don't know.
Yeah, in that bloodline.
Yeah.
It connects to him somehow.
Okay. Did we you guys want to answer Eli's question? Or I mean, we were gonna tie Forsaken in here, but I'm not sure how to add it in now, or if we just want to add the bits that we saw from what we hit after this question, or do it at a different video.
We'll probably have to do it like at another video because I don't know. We all wanted to talk about the Forsaken chapter, right?
Yeah.
Dive in because that shit's just creepy.
Yeah, so, it is. It's very creepy.
Yeah.
How long have you been on? An hour?
Hour.
It's up. But he has. If you guys have questions, like write them down. I think we should end it by answering questions.
Yeah, Eli's got one up.
Real quick, guys. Steffi said Harry is a distant cousin of the main line through his sister 3 generations back.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Steffi.
Point. Hey.
Steffi, stay coming with the realness.
Thank you, Steffi. All right, I'm going to read Eli's question. Do you think it's possible that we won't get a Bran POV in Winds? It's possible, considering he has the ability now to influence basically all other characters' POVs. I'll go first. I think and I worry that we might not get a Bran chapter the same way I don't think we have a Varys chapter and a Littlefinger chapter, because they're 2 characters who know a hell of a lot, or at least the knowledge they know would tell the reader too much. So I'm worried that we might get a very small piece of Bran, if at all. What do you guys think?
No, I gotta disagree. We're definitely going to get Bran chapters. Bran's the one that's going to let us know what's going on with the others because they're getting closer. So we need to know what's going on. And I think he's still on the other side of the wall. Also, because we still have so many questions left unanswered, that Bran would be the one to help us kind of figure some more of what's going on. It's just, and if you're only thinking about 2 more books, maybe possibly 3, I can't see him not being in it. So I definitely think that we're going to get a Bran chapter, a few of them.
Yeah, I agree. It's coming down to the wire now. We can't just keep getting questions and questions and questions. That we'll end up having to have 4 more books if all we get is questions and no Bran next for Winds of Winter. It's got to go down. And shout out James Cleanly, my left sack. I'm so sorry to hear about your dad, man. Hugs. We'll keep you guys in our prayers.
Hard hands for real, James. We're praying for you and your family, for real.
Yeah, keep your head up.
Shit just sucks. Some things just suck. You know, all you can do is just freaking pray.
Yeah.
give hard hints.
Monero.
I agree that yes, we're gonna have some brand chapters. We probably won't get as many as we probably won't get that many because I think the real story is gonna be like what's happening at the wall, what's happening in the Riverlands, and what's happening in Winterfell, and what's happening in Marine. Those stories are probably gonna go full throttle, but I think they're just gonna give us enough brand chapters to allow us to see how his story arc is moving forward. Because I think he's probably gonna have more of an impact coming towards either the ends of Winds and then in the next book.
Lady D?
I got nothing. I ended up jumping down a tinfoil hole after Harry the Heir.
Well, we like tinfoil.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my foil to myself till it's a little shinier.
Till it's ready. Till it's
She said
ready.
till it's shinier.
Till it's shinier.
She's revving it. She's
Add some
revving it.
spells to it.
Nice
She got to
and
make
shiny.
it into forge it into Valyrian steel foil.
Harry the Heir was born in 283. His mom was born sometime between 214 and 249. So even if she was born at 249, she would have had to been what, like 30 plus when she had Harry. That's kind of old in our story. Not in the real world, but in our story, that's kind of old to have a kid, right? She would have been having kids 15, 16, 17, 18. Like, you don't just get married in 282 and then have a kid in 283. Like, that's older. Unless you would have had kids from before, I'm thinking. And even if this is your first marriage, I would doubt that you're still a virgin by the time you're in your 30s in our story. Like, how do y'all feel about that?
The only thing is that 30 still would be childbearing because Kat at this time before Ned goes off thinks that she can give Ned another kid.
There's nothing to do with her not being able to have kids, so that's fine. It's just her age. I want to agree on her age. If she was born in 249, even at the latest 249, if Harold is born in 283, she's in her 30s.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's possible.
Not about her not being able to have kids. I do believe Harry's hers. But what I'm questioning is if Harry is her husband's.
Okay, so what would be the reason? Like, who would be the other father if it wasn't him?
Okay, so here's what's going on. Robert Aaron could not have kids, couldn't have an heir. Robert Aaron had two other heirs, actually a number of heirs, because he kept trying to have an heir, right? So the first time, his first heir was Elbert, his younger brother's son, Elbert. In 282, a year before Harry was born, Elbert was killed by King Aerys Targaryen II. 282. All right. He didn't marry Liza Aaron until 290 something. You understand? Once the rebellion started, 290 something is when he married Liza Aaron. So 282, between 282 and 290 something, he has no heir. His family is trying to get him an heir, but they keep dying and stuff. His sister Alice had 8 daughters and 1 son. The boy died at 3. 2 of his sisters died not long after that from the pox. The third girl became the Septa. Another one, became a silent sister. Another one was barren. Another one was carried off by the Mountain Vale clansmen. And the eldest was born to Dennis Aaron, who would become, the idea of that was that because she was married to somebody who was a distant Aaron's cousin, they would keep the Aaron last name and that would be good politically, right? But he died. Like her baby and her died after Robert's rebellion somehow. So it's like they kept trying to get him heirs, but his heirs kept dying. And then in 282, right? 282, 1 year before Harold was born, 82, his last heir was killed off. 282, when heirs took him. So my tinfoil is that after going through so many heirs, trying to have an heir, you can't have kids. And each heir that your family produces for you dies or gets freaking carried off by a mountain clansman, or like all of these things are happening. At some point, you're going to be like, damn, I got to get me an heir. And maybe you're thinking, maybe it's not me. Maybe it's the chick I'm with that can't have kids. And so you get a little Targaryenist and you screw your cousin, who's actually 30 years old. And you have a baby. Because if she's 30 years old and she's married, how do you not have, like in our story, you're 30 years old, you're highborn, you're married, and you have no kids until a year after his final heir is dead? They didn't know they were going to have a Robbie Aaron. They didn't know, what was going to go on with that. But it was like, at least you'll have a kid. I'm wondering if that's his bastard, since he looks so much like him. That's the end of that. So see, that was a whole lot. And now everybody thinks I'm crazy. I have to write it out so that I can explain what I'm trying to. But this is where he looks so much like John in his youth. All right, well, let me see how old his cousin was. Well, shit, she was 33 when this boy was born. You're a highborn lady and you don't have kids, so you're 33. That's odd in our story. But I think anyway. So yeah, it's a lot of.
Well, I guess I would want to know, what does the person that they're saying is his father looks like, or what does his mother look like? Because if that's his cousin, and Harry looks like his mom, then it would tend to stand to reason that you'll probably look like John Aaron, because Tywin and Joanna were cousins and they looked alike because she was of a branch of the Lannisters. So I guess I would wonder, what does the person who's supposed to be Harry's father looks like?
They're Harding, so I don't know what a Harding looks like. And
okay,
I should have just kept my foil to myself till it was shiny, like I said.
No, I mean it's a good foil. I'm just saying I guess I would want to know what does Harding look like? Because then that I guess in my mind it would be like, yeah, I see where you're going, because he doesn't look anything like his dad, or his dad doesn't even have any. I know we're getting into the gene thing, but you sometimes pull when it comes to outward appearance, you kind of maybe sometimes pull from one or the other parent. So I guess that's why I'm asking, what does his supposed dad looks like?
Yeah, like I would only get on board with that theory if I knew what the potential father was supposed to look like. If they said what the father looked like and it was something different, then it'll be like, okay, something's up. That's why it's kind of like with Sweet Robin. I don't know if he kind of looks like a Tully, but he clearly doesn't look like a Aaron, which makes people think, is he really, a kid? Or you could say with Cersei and Robert Baratheon, where it's like we know the traits of both parents that were like, okay, we can question this. So maybe if they talk more in the next book about his father and his details, then it's like I could jump on board with this. It's a little rusty foil, but I could still get with it. But I would need to know the father. That's the only thing that's holding me back from jumping down the rabbit hole with you.
Brittany, this is a safe place, so you can always share your tinfoil before it's shined up.
Right, I say random things all the time.
It makes sense. At some point, you're like, that does make sense.
Yeah. Conspiracy twins. That's what we do. We question everything. Why? Because we're curious like a cat.
Everything.
We're just curious by nature. Of course, we're gonna question that baby. Everyone's bouncing. It's so many castle thoughts in this story, guys. Of course, we're gonna question every baby.
Gatehouse.
We're questioning Arya, and she came out cat snatched. Like, we're questioning everyone's kid because all these people be lying about their children, and they're not who they say, and they're inheriting these, noble houses with these titles and stuff. And it's funny because most of them probably are bastards. Like, the Targaryens have been mixing with each other so much that Dany could be a line of a great bastard herself, because you couldn't tell anymore because they was, sleeping with each other all the time. But you're always going to want to question people's kids. So I get it, trust me. And keep questioning stuff so I don't sound crazy by myself,
You guys, I think we've covered most of the Undying, and we're not going to have time for the Forsaken. So if we do, we'll have to make that a separate discussion where we can just talk it out about all the parallels there and the connection to the Undying with Pyat Pri. If you guys are all okay with that, we can do that on whenever we mutually decide on a date and time and channel.
Yep. I'm cool with that.
Okay. Anybody have anything else to add about Undying before we wrap it up and sign off?
Only as to the part where they talk about the three heads has the dragon, where they tell her about her three mounts must she ride, one for love, one for hate, and all that other gibberish.
Love, gold, and something else.
Hold on, I have it. Three heads has the dragon, the ghost chorus. Three mounts must you ride, one to bed, one to dread, and one to love. Three treasons you will know, once for blood, once for gold, and once for love. And I was just kind of curious, what do you think those three treasons will be? The one for blood, the one for gold, and the one for love.
I almost think the blood might have been Illyrio, and I only say that because he said that his decision was writ in blood and he expected her to not survive, and so she was under his house and thought that maybe she thought he was taking care of her, but he participated in that marriage agreement for his own benefit, and that could have been for blood. I can't see anybody else where I could see the blood make sense, or that was important enough for her to be considered committing treason. Like, it seems like you have to have a good relationship with them for them to betray you. Anyone else?
Sorry, I got nothing. My brain is a little fried right now.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, sorry about that. This one, I think with her treason, it could be numerous people, because like I kind of thought Illyrio would kind of fall under gold because of Golden Company and stuff like that, but I could see it also being for blood as well because of he's also kind of connected with the whole idea with sending her with the Blood Riders and all of that. So it's more of up to interpretation when it comes to that. And I think when I read the chapter again, because I was so kind of weirded out by what was actually going on with these visions, I was more focused on like the fact that in that one part it talks about this heart that she sees that's corrupted and it's blue and stuff like that. And she says as they're like giving her these visions and warnings and stuff, they're sucking the life out of her. And I think at one point the chapter, it says like her heart was beating in sync with the creepy thing. So I wasn't really paying attention this time to the actual prophecies, because I was like, okay, that's really weird what's going on right now, because once again, this is what made me go back and say, you know what, she kind of saw what potentially was going to happen to her when she sees these things like attacking the woman, because now she's in a situation with this blue corrupted heart, and it's like it's telling her what she came for, because she was like, tell me what I need to know of what's going to happen and what's to come, or what was. Like, she's saying like, I'm here now, tell me what you have to say. and they're giving her exactly what she wants, but it's like they're also killing her. It's like a trap in a way. So I'm more paying attention to that and being like, well, first of all, why didn't I catch that? And then second of all, it's so creepy, but it also makes me think when you think of Euron, like Danny passed her test to get out of there, but Euron might not have passed the test and got corrupted himself. And that's why he's on this crazy adventure saying he's going to be a god, because, you know, Danny was wise, and she also had Drogon, because Danny almost fell for the trap a few times. And if it wasn't for Drogon, then she might be, in matter of fact, she would be dead. Euron doesn't have that, which makes me think that, you know what, he might have saw something he wanted to see, and then he just went for it, and then he got corrupted. And that's why you see this, because it's a lot of connection where it's like we're all still trying to figure out, like, what does this mean? What does this mean? But that thing, whatever it is that's in the House of the Undying, it was trying to trap her and trying to corrupt her, and it was throwing everything it had at her because she was passing the test. It even said, it was like, hey, you know, you passed the test. Now come sit down with us and we'll tell you everything you need to know, because that's what it came for. I could see Euron maybe getting too beside of himself and falling for one of the traps. And the next thing you know, like, it corrupts him in a way. And now that's why he's out doing this crazy stuff. Now that's some tinfoil. Sorry, I went there, but that's what I was reading into when I was listening to it the second time. I wasn't even paying attention to what was happening, because I was like, oh my God, they're killing you, girl. Like, what do you mean you see this purple heart? Is that your heart? And I was like, why are you here? And it's like, Danny, get the fuck out of there. Like, it kind of creeped me out, like with the Forsaken chapter, when you're seeing all this weird, messed up things happening. It's like, oh my God. And that just was like, you know what? I don't think he made it out there alive. Like, I think it corrupted him.
I like that.
I totally agree with that. I 100% agree. I think they were trying to turn her into another Undying. She would have been one of those people sitting at the chair, and her life force would have been connected to, because remember, once Drogon charred that heart because he's hungry. He sees it. I'm hungry, some steak. So
The nook's gonna try.
they all end up like, dying. They all end up actually that was their demise. So I think I 100 can be on board with that. They were trying to kill her. Well, I don't know if they was so much trying to kill her, so much trying to drain her life force so she could become an Undying. And I think they felt that her power, whatever her dragon power that she possessed, was actually the extra life force that they needed in order to continue on. I don't know.
They needed that Valyrian blood.
Probably.
Danny is special. Like, it's saying, like, you're the breaker of lies, you're the mother, a daughter of death. Like, it keeps giving her all these like weird
titles.
And it's just as it's giving her exactly what she wants. She's like, she can't breathe, she can't move. It's like, maybe it's not trying to kill her, but it's trying to do something to her. Like, the whole goal was that she was not supposed to make it out. That's why you saw Pre kind of had like this thing where he was like, you're not supposed to go there. Like, even though that was the correct door to go to, he was like, no, come to me. Like, they were trying to make sure she did not leave there. And then it's just creepy to kind of think that, it's at first she looks at these people and they're like welcoming her in, and they're saying, we're going to tell you something. We sent this comment for you to lead the way, which that's fucking weird. And then all of a sudden she kind of shakes it up and everyone's dead. It's like kind of like a horror movie when it's like, oh, everything's fine. And then it like, you see a little flicker of light, and the next thing you know, everyone's dead. No one's moving. And then you hear these whispers, which made me think, okay, Blood Raven is now in here because he's echoing, and it's like he's whispering. And I'm like, why is he fucking with Danny? But that's when I was like, okay, now it's Danny. So I should have been paying more attention to the actual prophecy. But I was like, weirded out. It's like when I was listening to it, it felt like I was looking at a horror movie and legit getting like freaked out, even though I knew this was coming. But because I was also thinking in my mind that this great other was trying to attack this child and trying to make sure she didn't leave. Like when the lights started going out, it's like, why the lights are going out? There shouldn't be no breeze in there. And it just seems like this darkness is creeping up. And then Bran said that shit. And I was like, of course he would want to get Bran because Bran has visions and he's agreeing to it. And of course you want Dany. And then she bursts dragons. She sees prophecies. And then it's like, of course, now you want Dampere because he's a prophet. So it's like, it all connects in some weird ass way. But I should have been paying attention basically to the prophecy, but I was getting freaked out.
You're right, T, but there was so much going on in that chapter that you don't really, and that's why I love how he writes. It's like stuff is embedded in the words you're reading and in the play on words. And then you're looking at different things going on simultaneously and something will change from one object to the next. And you're trying to absorb all of it. So it's hard to put all that together and figure out what's truly going on and what the character's feeling like while you're feeling like it as the reader. And that's one thing I love about these books. And one thing I love about The House of the Undying altogether. It was just full of so much content. I felt like we got a download, but we still don't know how we're supposed to interpret all that stuff.
Indeed. I agree across the board.
On that note, my ladies, I think we should go ahead and sign off. We got 19 viewers still hanging with us in the chat. Thank you guys. This has been very fun. And maybe next time we'll ask for questions a little bit earlier on and maybe make that the end segment, a few of them, or we could save them for a whole answer session. But
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that would make it a little more interactive. But this topic is so broad, it was a lot for us to discuss amongst ourselves on top of adding questions in.
Yeah.
We didn't even hit everything.
Yeah, but I said we just touched the surface.
Yeah,
like we didn't even
keep on doing segment.
segment.
But the House of the Undying is going to be important somewhere, and I thank you guys for talking to me about it and being here for part 4. Thank you guys again, and if you want to go ahead and sign off, let's do that.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a blast, and thank you guys for just letting me be so weird and just let my thoughts just flow so I can just get it out of my system, because sometimes I read these things and it's hard to concentrate on the rest of the things because I'm so obsessed with this one way how he worded it that would throw me off, and you guys kind of just contain my thoughts, which I love. So thanks again, and always a blast.
Likewise, appreciate you having me on, Candace, and chatting about all this lovely stuff. Thank you guys in the chat for hanging with us, and we'll see you guys next time. I think next week there's a stream going down, and we'll go from there.
Hey guys, Lady D, I'm very, very happy to be here, and I'm very, very happy that we got to have this conversation. I'm really ready. We were discussing having a conversation on the Grand Northern Conspiracy, and there's actually some detailed videos that I wanted to create for it. So that'll be in the works, hopefully, and coming up soon, because that is huge and wonderful, and there are definitely some differences in opinion and stuff, and I think we should go through, and it's awesome. So thanks, so much for joining us, and yeah, just thanks.
Yes, thank you again for having me on, and always a blast to hang out with you girls. We're just basically doing the same thing here that we usually do when we're having our own little offside chats. So you just get a peek in what we do almost every day. Thank you, chat, for hanging out with us. Please check out all of these wonderful ladies and all of the stuff that they have. I mean, you will not be disappointed. And I hope everybody has a blessed week.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Everybody in the chat, I see you. You know, we all see you. We appreciate you so much for coming by. Thank you so much to my Not So Silent sisters, all of y'all. It's rare that we can all come together, right? Because sometimes it's like 3 of us, 4 of us, 2 of us, you know. So when we can actually like come together and just chit chat like we do all day, you know, texting and stuff, it's always special to me. And I thank you, Candace, for having me. and having all of us and for doing this. And I love you guys. I love my sisters, not so silent sisters. I love everybody in the chat. I see y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And shout out to Black Wilding also for joining us today. She's not here, but we'll send the Raven with our thank you.
Yes, yes, indeed. Thank you, Black Wilding. We appreciate that.
You guys have a good Sunday.
Be in your dreams.